Hello, and welcome to Thank You for Your Service. I'm your host, Tom Heiser, and today we have two lady veterans who are still serving their community in so much as they both work for the VA. We have Sara Krueger and Cassandra Towns. Thank you for your service, ladies.
Well, thank
both
you
of
for
you.
yours.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, nice and easy. Where are you from?
I am from a small town called Stevensville, Montana.
Okay. Stevensville, Montana. Where is that located?
I usually say half hour south of Missoula, Montana, on the west half of Montana.
Towards the Rockies.
Yeah, in the Rockies.
Okay. So now we got location. Cassandra.
Broadhead, Wisconsin.
Okay. Go to school out there and
Yep.
that's your whole younger lifetime out
Yep.
there.
I went to high school in Broadhead, yes, and then my bachelor's degree was in Stevens Point from UWSP, and then my master's from Central Michigan University.
So a little bit of traveling, but got all your education taken care of. Okay, Cassandra, why the Army?
My family historically has served in the Army. My father's generation, nobody served, but both of my grandfathers on both sides were Army, and my older brother was in the Army as well.
So you're kind of...
I kind of leaned that way to begin with. I spoke with a few different recruiters, but my predisposition toward the Army came through.
Okay. Why the Air Force?
Boy, mine's a little bit more convoluted. My family is all the different branches to include the Coast Guard, but I actually had a boyfriend at the time that was in the Army, and he wanted to join the Air Force, switch from green to blue. And I went with him to a recruiter to redo the ASVABs, and the recruiter said, why don't you just do it and see what happens? And I had never actually ever wanted to join the military, but when he said you can do whatever you want, and my boyfriend at the time did not get anything in the Air Force, I went to basic training, and here I am.
Okay.
6 years later.
Okay. Basic. Where did you take basic training for the Air Force?
Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas.
I think everybody from the Air Force goes there.
It's the only one.
Okay. Female, was your unit, your basic training unit, female only or male-female mixed?
Actually, they run 2 flights at a time, and so we had we call it the brother and sister flight. So my particular flight was all female. We did have male drill instructors. TIs is what the Air Force calls them, training instructors. But we had a brother flight that also was the ones that we did everything with.
So, was it, you had to meet female criteria, or did you have to meet male criteria?
Female.
Okay, so there was a little bit of a difference.
Yes.
It wasn't...
Yeah, it wasn't. It's not to what the standards are today, no.
Okay. Cassandra, basic training.
Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and it was co-ed.
Same thing.
Same thing, yep. And female standards for PT tests and everything like that, which I understand is changing in the Army now, but yeah, it was separated for me.
Okay. Housing units. Different co-ed level, or male level, female level, or just all the building was in the Army?
Yeah, it was by floor, if I'm not mistaken, floor, wing, yeah.
Okay.
Our brother flight was across the hall, and then the sister flight we shared a level. But we didn't have co-latrines or anything like that. But thank God. I wouldn't want to clean that.
Okay. So, we get the basic. Nervous? Apprehensive?
Yeah, I definitely had no idea what I was getting into. So when I got there, it was quite a shock. I kind of assumed I would never eat or sleep again, and I ended up calling my mom the first time that we could use the phones, pay phones, by the way. And I called her crying, what did I do? Why did I do this? And yeah, I was very highly motivated by food, still am. But that was a crushing blow.
Okay, what did you sign up for to go in?
It's a 1 Alpha 4, so it's Airborne Surveillance Technician. My recruiter originally told me it was Air Battle Manager, which is actually the officer position for my job. So the enlisted position is Airborne Surveillance Technician.
Okay. Cassandra, what did you sign up for?
Psychological operations specialist. And I was very blessed because my brother prepared me well as far as what to expect and what was coming and what the appropriate way to handle that was.
Did he tell you everything you needed to know?
To be successful in basic, I feel like he did, actually. I was very, very blessed with that. He really took time with me and answered my questions. And there were a few key pieces of advice that really prevailed throughout that were incredibly helpful. But I feel like it served me very well.
Okay. For someone that may be watching it is thinking about going in, what did he share with you to help you get through this so that you can share with somebody else to help them get through this?
Sure. So I'm a sensitive person, but I used to be much more sensitive. And my brother warned me, do not cry, because it is like blood in the water for sharks for drill sergeants. So do not cry. And I didn't cry. And like I said, I was sensitive, but he told me I needed to have a thick skin, not be sensitive, not talk. And I'm a talker. I love visiting. But he advised me you just got to shut your mouth. You are not there to make friends. You are not there to chit chat. You are there to learn and to meet the standard. So be quiet, soak it in, do what they tell you to do. Keep your head down. Do it right. Don't do it well enough to get recognized, but stay in the middle of the pack.
Sarah, advice for someone that wants to go into the Air Force?
I'd say the basic training, the same advice would be don't talk. My TI didn't even know who I was, so that was the mission accomplished.
I got yelled at once by a drill sergeant from a different platoon because he didn't recognize me and thought I wasn't where I belonged.
Yeah, that's mission accomplished there. And then the best advice was living meal to meal, Sunday to Sunday. I think that is the best advice I received, is not focusing so far on everything that sucks, more of, running for breakfast, lunching, doing all of it. I worked meal to meal, Sunday to Sunday.
Okay. So now, Cassandra, you're done with basic. It's AIT time. Where was that at?
So I got injured at the very tail end of basic and put into a physical therapy rehab program. So I was in for a little bit under a year and ended up being honorably medically med-boarded out, discharged out. Due to my injuries, I wasn't able to go to AIT, which was very challenging to accept, so I had a very short time in the military.
Okay, so you mentioned a year. I know basic doesn't take a year, so you went
Correct.
Early enlistment plan.
No, so Fort Jackson has a physical therapy rehab program. It is unique to that base. There are only a few of them in the nation like that. And it's where it is still a training environment. You still have drill sergeants, but it is essentially all of the injured soldiers. So you are there to go to physical therapy, to work out, and also to contribute in other ways. So we would work issuing the uniforms to the privates as they're coming in, working in the optometry shop, shoveling rocks, and working out multiple times a day and doing your physical therapy in an effort to return to training. So I missed one event, so I would have had to go back, complete one event, and then would have been able to go to AIT, but my injuries unfortunately got worse. The goal is 3 months, and I was there for more than 6 months, so 7 or 8 months I was in that program for, and then I was med-boarded.
So basically rehab, but the plan did not work.
Correct. Yep.
What,
Unfortunately. That wasn't the goal when I went in, right?
but the interesting fact is your spouse.
I am, yes.
It's also in the military.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to talk about that a little bit too,
Sure.
because that's a different perspective as well.
Yeah.
Big time. Okay, Sarah. Basics done. AIT time.
Yeah.
Same place, or we're,
Actually, the Air Force calls it tech school, so
Okay.
technical school. Gotta tell you, I'm sorry, but there's different places you go for tech school. Mine happened to be across the street from Lackland, called Medina Annex, and so basically I just got on a bus and rode across the street.
time of year that you were in basic and tech?
I joined in March. I would have done, my tech school would have lasted until I think it was like August, and then we went to survival school in Fairchild Air Force Base up in Washington, and did SEER school, and then we would go to our final bases.
So you missed the really hot
Part of Texas?
Texas.
Yeah, the worst part of basic training is when they said if you get a sunburn, you're damaging government property. April, May, and basic training kind of threw a wrench in that plan because you're marching on blacktop all the time. I had the flight cap imprinted in my head, looked like a vampire with sunburn. I'm not even joking. It was terrible.
Nobody's saying that you're not.
With BCGs.
So how was your TC? How was that time frame?
It was pretty extensive. The training part of my position is very, very long. What you do in tech school is the aircrew fundamentals, and then you do that 2 weeks. So that's all enlisted aircrew positions within the Air Force. My brother-in-law is actually teaching there right now. He's teaching aircrew fundamentals down at the training base. And then afterwards, you split it out to whatever it's our AFSC or our duty jobs. So it would be the different levels of training.
So interesting training to say the least.
Yeah, right. And if you think radar theory is interesting, yeah.
Well, you're talking about something that takes a lot of math
Yes.
and
Yes.
Sciences.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of science. I think the radar portion was more science than anything, really.
Okay. Let's get back to now. You're married to a person in the military.
Yes. He's in the reserves.
Pardon?
He's in the Army Reserves.
Okay. Locally.
Yes, he drills out of, Milwaukee.
Okay. So, did you guys get married prior to going into service or after?
So he, when we met, he had already served 3 years active duty and then had enlisted in the reserves and had been in the reserves for a number of years as well when we met.
Okay. Has he been deployed?
Yes. He
What's that
has. It was before I met him, so he has not been deployed in the time that we've been together. So
Okay.
that has been a blessing for me. Yeah.
So that's something that really concerns. Okay, tech school. Taking another step. You mentioned like 2 tech schools you had to go to. What was the one like in Washington where it's a lot nicer and it's closer to Montana?
Well, it's survival, evasion, resistance, and escape. So it kind of was not a good time. Although I grew up in Montana with backpacking and hiking, so the survival portion was very easy for me as far as hiking, and then my dad gave me exponential knowledge of how to navigate topography and basically the survival of what you can eat, what you can't eat, what you shouldn't roll in, what you can. And it was hot though, and there was not a lot of water, so I think that was the hardest part about the survival portion, was just trying to find water. I mean, we drank out of a cow trough, a mud puddle, basically iodine tablets, everything. I can't even handle the smell of iodine anymore. But that was the hard part. And then the resistance part you can't talk much about, but that, as you can assume, was not enjoyable at all. It's based on prisoner of war training, so
Right.
Yeah, that part was hard. And then the second part of our education happens at Tinker Air Force Base, Oklahoma, where I was stationed for all 6 years. And go see the world, but you see Oklahoma. That part was very, very fast-paced and just very intense, and that's more of the flying. You do some ground training and simulator training, and then it's flying. A lot of flying.
So that survival training program, how long does that last? I'm quite sure you had classroom and what they would probably call practical.
Yeah, you learn the survival portion first. I want to say that was 2 weeks, but I can't remember. That part was all of it was kind of blurry. And then you do the survival in the woods for give or take a week, and then you come back and you do the resistance the other things happen in the meantime, and then you come back and then you finally do some formal resistance training in the classroom, and then you go back to the resistance training again. So I want to say maybe 6 weeks, 5 to 6 weeks total time.
One tough time.
Yeah. I ate a whole pizza when I got back from survival training. An entire pizza.
With anchovies.
No anchovies.
Okay.
Pizza pipeline. Anybody from up north will tell you. In the Northwest, they'll tell you. Pizza pipeline's where it's at.
Okay, so now you're done with all your training. Where do you go? First place you go?
Tinker Air Force Base, Oklahoma. That's where all our training was, and then I went right into the 965th, which was one of the flying squadrons. The line squadrons is what we call them. I did that was in the 5th for 3 years, and then I became a cadre at the training squadron, which is also in Tinker. And my husband was actually in the training squadron, the flying training squadron, so he'd know some of the students before they'd get there of who was the bad ones and who was not. But he was definitely the more relaxed of the Sergeant Krugers, I can assure you of that. And then I went back to, I deployed between the 965th and the training squadron, and then I was changed to the 964th Line Squadron.
So both of your spouses were also military?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What is your husband doing? Reserves?
He was airborne infantry, and he is now a drill sergeant. So he's a sergeant first class drill sergeant. People ask me, did you meet him in basic? No. No, we did not meet while I was in. But yeah.
And where's he stationed out of?
Milwaukee, and terribly I couldn't tell you the unit. Because we've moved quite a bit, he's switched units multiple times, and I just don't remember.
There's many infantry units around that need drill sergeants.
Yeah, yes. They're definitely looking for more drill sergeants all the time and recruiting into it.
Okay, you said, is he kind of in charge of the drill sergeants, or is he one of the in-your-face people?
He's not a really big into the in-your-face type thing. He likes teaching, but he does, let the privates have it verbally a bit when they do stupid things, like
Discuss their
he said one put ammunition in the weapon backwards and then say, I have no idea how that happened, drill sergeant. So, but he really enjoys the weapons training piece of it.
Okay. A little bit about your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
He's still in the military?
No, he separated before I did. We both did 6 years. He joined before I did as well too, but we met in the Air Force, and we just kept deploying and flying all the time. And at that point, we had our son, and we could not keep up. It was very not conducive to our family life for the rate that we were going. So we both decided to honorably discharge after our 6 years. And
Heard that from many spouses. It's tough.
it was.
Okay. So you said you got deployed.
Mm-hmm.
Where to?
Well, we flew on a plane called an AWACS. It's an airborne warning and control system. And what that is it's called a high valued airborne asset. So we actually deployed out of the United Arab Emirates in Al Dhafra Air Force Base. And then we would fly into the theater, is what we call it, and do our mission, and then fly all the way back and sleep, eat, and repeat.
So you're at your duty station, all of a sudden the orders come down, you're going to the sandbox.
Mm-hmm.
Nervous?
Well,
Scared?
we had, it was actually the time that, not Syria, Libya kicked off as well. So our base was very scrambled to find enough crews, because we had crews currently deployed. It's a continuous deployment, and then we had to find crews for Libya. And then we had to find crews to replace the crews that are deploying, and that was really, really challenging. So I actually felt a little bit more comfortable to go to the desert because I thought that the time frame would have been set, but we actually got extended for 3.5 months extra than we had anticipated. So that was kind of, wasn't sure how long the Libya thing would kick off. And again, you know, my husband, he even flew while I was deployed, and vice versa. But we didn't have, when he deployed, we didn't have any children at that time. But yeah, holy moly, a lot of flying.
AWACS are up 24/7, aren't they?
Depends on where.
And I would assume that a lot of your job was classified.
Mm-hmm.
Top secret.
Well,
clearances.
yeah, and yeah, a lot. Absolutely.
Okay. So, interesting to say the least, what your
Yeah.
job was.
Yeah, no, sometimes I miss it. Sometimes I miss flying, and sometimes I miss the job, but then there's other days that you're flying and you just want to bang your head on the console because it's so boring, thank God. I mean, that's good when it's a boring day, then it's a good day kind of thing, but also can get a little bit monotonous.
Okay. Okay, Cassandra, with your husband still in service, the possibility of deployment is there. You said he was deployed once before you were married.
Twice overseas and once to work at a basic training unit for a year.
Okay. So he's been over twice to combat zones. You're not looking for the third time or the fourth time, are you?
Well, I certainly hope not. Of course, if he's called to serve, he will, and I will do everything to support him in that. That being said, with the role that he currently has, being a drill sergeant, he would be more likely to get deployed to work for a year at a basic training unit than he would be to go overseas. His 2 overseas deployments were before he became a drill sergeant. So it would be more likely that it would be stateside, which is certainly a completely different ballgame, a different headspace for a spouse, right, than if they're overseas. But if that happens, then at that point we have to do our part and trust in God.
With McCoy in Wisconsin, chances of him being deployed there are minimal, aren't they? Being a drill sergeant. You're talking more like Leonard Wood.
Fort McCoy was actually where he was deployed when it was stateside.
Really?
At this point, I really don't know. I don't know what the more likely location would be. I mean, I would imagine one of the other high volume basic training units would be the most likely option, but I don't know. The Army can do what they want. So.
Okay, so your deployment is over. And you're coming back to the States. Where'd you go then?
I went immediately after my rest and relaxation. Well, during the rest and relaxation, we actually did a bomb run. We went to Montana for a week, and then we came to Wisconsin for a week, and then we finally flew back home and visited, home to Oklahoma. But then I had to go to Airman Leadership School to be a staff sergeant. So right after deployment, that's where I went. And No, I did the training squadron and then Airman Leadership School. Maybe I have that backward. I don't remember. But at some point there was an Airman Leadership School. I want to say it was right after deployment because I was a good runner. That was one of the things they liked about me in leadership school is I could run a lot.
So your because of your training was how many years?
6. You could choose 4 or 6. I did 6 because when you graduate basic training, you instantly become an E3, which was very nice and helped progress a career faster.
Plus kept you out of those KP jobs.
Yeah, well, no, back to the running. The KP jobs, they, in basic training, the squadrons compete in a, warrior challenge, and they needed a long distance runner, and I was the only person that apparently could run a 5K. Myself and this other lady named her last name was Cisneros, Greek, and she and I, our job, while everybody else was doing their duties and KP duty and all of that, we had to go run. So we do the typical basic training running, and then we'd go run more and more.
So you talk about this basic training. You were the one we didn't like. The one that could run, you always said, try to keep up.
Yeah.
The head of A group.
For some reason, and then it paid. And then during deployment in the off time, that's all we did was exercise. So I did a lot of running then. I got really good at long distance running then, and so for the Airman Leadership School, I was that person that they didn't. But actually, it was a very neat school. And I really enjoyed my time, and I did well in it, and it was something that was a huge turning point in my career.
So leadership school, about how long was that?
Like, yeah, I have a really bad memory.
Okay.
If you want to know, I can't even tell you. It was cold. You can't wear your flight suit or your flight jackets, so I didn't have a coat that would match the uniform that they required. So I just remember being really cold a lot.
And that was at where?
I was in Oklahoma still, all at the Tinker, a lot of Oklahoma.
A lot old.
There's not much in Oklahoma.
Okay, Cassandra, anything else about your husband's military service or your service that you'd like to talk about a little bit?
When you mentioned earlier about what advice would you give, what did my brother tell me that served me so well? I do just want to say that I think that the military served both my husband and I very well in what it did for our own personal and professional development, and for our own ability to see a goal and achieve it, and our own determination and our own work ethics. And I think it served both of us very well. So even though for me it didn't turn out like I had planned, I'm very happy with that choice, and would encourage anybody else who is thinking about it to really seriously think about it, and wouldn't deter anybody. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I would 1,000,000% agree with her. Because of the military, my husband and I both were able to get master's degrees for free, and that is something that's you can't compare. And then the work ethic, I think, is like she said. I 1,000,000% agree.
No student debt.
Yeah. And just who you are as a person in general, I think, is interesting as well.
Oh yeah, I think it benefits people to their core.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're still in service. You got a couple more years to go.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you do and where were you at for those?
I was in the Lion Squadron. I took a job, thank God, as a resource advisor, and it was the best job ever. Because you have other positions, and you can't fly every single day. You just can't. And so we'd have other jobs besides flying, and so then mine was resource advisor, which I really enjoyed that. And then I also had troops that I would raid on and do that stuff with, and that was something that was new and kind of, hit and miss.
Resource advisor. I'm in the Army. I got no idea what you're talking about.
The person that buys all the stuff, the pens, the uniforms, balances the budget, a lot of Excel spreadsheets, administrative, all the government purchase cards, you'd audit those, and but a lot of face-to-face with the commander, because you'd have to tell him where the budget is and why can we afford TVs but not flight jackets, and different pots of money. You can't do
No
it.
coupons.
Yeah, no coupons. Surprisingly, the military did not use coupons.
And where was that at?
That was also in Oklahoma. Tinker is a very large base there, but AWACS predominantly is located there.
Okay. So, you're now out.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do? I mean, did you go to school after that? After
I got out. Yes, actually, because when I went in, I had already done a year of college, and that was really kind of my biggest challenge in deciding to enlist, is that I didn't want to stop college, but I felt a call to serve, and so I chose to put that on hold to go into the reserves and to do the training. But so as soon as I got out, I started working again, and then went to school very shortly after that. The next semester that was available that I could enroll, I did. So went right back into college and my bachelor's degree.
Okay. After the military.
I had actually done most of my bachelor's in, so when I got out, my husband was doing financial advising at Edward Jones, so I got to be a stay-at-home mom / trophy wife. He'll admit it.
Little bit of
Maybe.
a change.
Yeah, a
in
little
your
bit of
role
a change.
there.
But it was hard. It was a struggle to find that identity because, you know, if you tell somebody that you're in the, you know, Air Force and they're like, oh, that's awesome. You tell them you're a stay-at-home mom and they go, oh, you doing good? You okay? Yeah. But then I started doing the rest of the school that I needed to do, a lot of online classes. And then I did that until we decided that financial advising was also very time consuming away from your family because you're working for a living. You don't, it's all commission based. So we decided to we had enough money saved up that we decided to take some time off. We moved to Montana to be near my family, and we took a whole summer off, both of us, from working, which is super amazing, and nobody else can do that. But gosh, that was like the best summer, and just had some serious family time. We had a daughter, and so at that time we had 2 kids and living the farm life, and then we decided, okay, which one of us is gonna we wanted to go back for the government, and so which one of us could get a government job first? Well, I did, with the Forest Service, doing basically the resource advisor job for the Forest Service. So that's, fast forward, that's how that translated. And now my husband works from home, which has been amazing because today I wore a green shirt, so he was able to bring me a backup shirt for this wall so that I wouldn't look inappropriate.
You made an interesting point just in this conversation right now. When you're in the Air Force, they say things different than they do in civilian life. You know, well, I'm a stay-at-home mom.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, how things go. Interesting when you're with other veterans,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be Air Force, Army, Navy, Marines, whatever, compared to civilians. I just thought that was an interesting statement that you made.
Yeah, it's hard it's an identity loss, and I think even doing the job that we do at the VA, we hear that a lot of veterans struggle with that identity loss after separating, and I think it's something out there. I have a lot of friends that still serve, and they ask me about it. You know, when you're separating, they either put the fear of God in you that you're never going to get insurance again, which you will, and but also they don't really talk about how you feel once you're not that person anymore.
Okay. So, when you were in service, did you see any USO shows?
Actually, yes. 2. We had, I'm not even joking, and I'm a Montana girl, but we had some of the Green Bay Packers former Green Bay Packers came to base one time. And then also the Biggest Loser crew, so Jillian Michaels came.
Really?
And yeah, I'm serious, I have pictures.
I didn't know they did that.
Yeah, she was doing a USO show. It wasn't Bob Harper, I can't remember who else was, no, it was just Jillian Michaels with one of the other trainers that was before Bob Harper. But they came and they put us through a workout, and holy moly, also she is gotta be like 4'11". It's hard, you don't think that she's tiny when you look at her on TV until you get in, but then she gets in your face like a drill instructor, and you're like, yes ma'am, please don't kill me.
So that was interesting.
Trying to think if there was any other. There was a lot that would come through our base in Oklahoma. I never really, as soon as I could leave base, I did as fast as I could, and did the home thing. I'm kind of a homebody just generally, but trying to think if anybody else came through when we were deployed that we flew nights, so half the time I'd be sleep, like I said, eat, sleep, fly, repeat, and that was it.
Okay, I've interviewed other veterans that served in the Middle East. The biggest thing they mention is the sand.
I have a funny story about that. I'm kind of a joker, so obviously, sorry I make jokes. One of the positives I thought that being deployed would have is that I have hay fever. And I said, oh my God, I'm finally gonna go through a full season without hay fever. Because, it's sand. You can't be allergic to sand. No, you can. You can absolutely have hay fever even in the Middle East. So I thought that was very funny. The sandstorms, we had one sandstorm that was bad that we were on the ground for. And that was kind of creepy, very eerie feeling, kind of felt like when a blizzard comes, it kind of reminded me of a blizzard, really, but it's hot. And you have to wear stuff to cover so you don't breathe it in. And they did, when you deploy, they even issue you special goggles to wear. But that was a weird one. And then I was actually there. We left there 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, so I was there for the whole opposite summers. But it got cold. It got cold, and you never think about that when you deploy. Of boy, I better pack my sweatshirts. And they went, you couldn't wear civilian clothes at that time. And so I never thought, pack my sweatshirts for inside my room. So I froze a lot. So that's one tip to people if you're going to deploy. Either you go and it's just excruciatingly hot outside. I mean, our maintenance guys had a pretty funny thermometer in the smoke pit, we called it. And it was sort of hot, almost hot, boiling. We're actually in hell, and then this is on fire. And sometimes it was seriously said this was on fire. But then at night it drops, or you go into any of the buildings or the tents, and the air conditioning's going full blast, so you go from hot to cold, hot to cold.
So did remind me of my husband Matt is his name, doesn't really talk much about the sand or never or comments he made didn't stick or remember. I didn't remember, but he had a lot of missions where he was out overnight for multiple days or for weeks, right? And he talked about how the dung beetles would come into your sleeping bag at night because it got so cold at night, and you wouldn't expect it to get that cold, but how gross that is. Then you'd wake up and there's dung beetles in your sleeping bag with you. I remember that more than his sand comments.
That's something else people have said is the creatures.
Yeah. Camel spiders. I remember him telling a lot of stories about camel spiders too.
Spiders, snakes, whatever.
Yeah.
You had to check before you put your boots
Scorpions.
on. Scorpions before you crawled into the sleeping bag. You had to check everything is what they had mentioned. The reason I mentioned sand is they always say, you never get rid of it.
No. And you just genuinely, I think, stink. That's one of the deployment things too. Is you never get clean enough. Your clothes, even they have laundry facilities if your water's safe. Learned that the hard way. For a week, our water supply was contaminated, so it was no laundry, which is disgusting. In 110 degrees, you can imagine how everybody smelled. No showers, none of that. But yeah, the stink, the sand, weird place, hard place. And then being female deployed, something interesting that people don't realize is how you have to behave as far as being female versus male. So a lot of the customs and courtesies that we perceive as Americans, like eye contact right now, is not appropriate when conversing with a Middle Eastern man. So a lot of it was, reminding myself to, gotta look down, or offensively showing. We always laughed about the offensive ankles. We had to wear long sleeve shirts and whatever if we were to go onto the Emirati side of base or during Ramadan. So we always, we joked about cover your offensive ankles. And so that was kind of something that's definitely different than the United States, for sure.
Okay, anything more about the military that you'd like to discuss, Cassandra?
Not in particular that I can think of at the moment. Thank you.
Sarah, anything more that you'd like?
Nope.
Okay, VA.
Yes.
You both are employed by the VA.
Yes.
Who's the boss here? Okay. I've been to one of your short presentations.
Yeah.
And thought it was really, really interesting what your program, would that be the way?
Sure.
Okay, do you want to start explaining your program to the people so that we
Sure.
know what's going on?
Sure. So Whole Health I'm the Whole Health Program Manager, so that's my role. And whole health is a really big concept to try to explain, so I'll try to button it into like a nice, neat package for you. But it's really an approach to healthcare. It's a system of care that's designed to empower and equip veterans to live their life to the fullest and to be as healthy and well as they can be. Essentially, we are looking at veterans as a whole person, not just as a medical diagnosis or one problem we need to treat and send them on their way, but really looking at the mind, body, spirit, and soul and saying, how can we help support you to live your life to the fullest? What matters to you? What's most important to you in your life? And what can we do to help equip you with the tools and the power to reach your goals, to be able to do the things that matter most to you in life?
Is this a new program within the VA? It's something that's just arisen recently, or?
Yes. So there are aspects of of a whole health system of care that have been in place for years, but now really it is a paradigm shift in being really a transformation of our care fully, and that is new. So TOMA was actually identified as one of 18 flagships nationwide that received additional grant funding for a period of 3 years to implement this system of care. And then also to help our other VAs in our VA integrated network, so in our kind of our regional VAs, to help them do it as well. So the 18 flagships are intended on paving the way and then helping everybody else get there as well. A big piece of this care too is offering a lot more opportunities and services for veterans. So we have a lot more complementary integrative health therapies, and they are evidence-based, so based in research on what is either absolutely known to help people, or we know that it won't harm, and there's some positive opportunity that it could help somebody, but it's definitely not going to hurt anybody. And so there are a lot more things available now at the TOMA VA compared to what we had before. We've had chiropractic care for quite some time, but now we have yoga, tai chi, meditation, biofeedback. We are going to have therapeutic massage very shortly. We have whole health coaching. We have group sessions where veterans can identify what matters most to them, what their goals are, what they would like to achieve and accomplish, and identify what the VA can do to help them in that. We have spin classes and step classes. So there's movement-based, there's a thing called class tracks, which are group opportunities for veterans to explore some skill building related to an area that they're interested in, like food and drink or working the body. So those are 2 of what we consider 8 areas of self-care. So whole health is really built around a wheel that focuses on the veteran, mindful awareness, 8 areas of self-care. Yes, that wheel you have there. And then also considering the importance, need, and impact on your health and life of your traditional healthcare, as well as complementary integrative health and your community, and that all of those things play a role in your health.
Okay, so some of the things that you mentioned, the yoga, are those available here in Wisconsin Rapids, or are these through TOMA, or how do you get into that?
Sure, yeah. So as you likely know, so the TOMA VA, we have kind of our mothership location is in TOMA, and then we have outlying community-based outpatient clinics in La Crosse, Owen, Wisconsin, Wausau, and Wisconsin Rapids. And one of the challenges is not only bringing these services to our veterans who seek their primary care in TOMA, but also reaching the veterans in our outlying clinics. So we've been working very diligently to roll out a lot of these services in the clinics. So to answer your question, some are currently available, some are about to be available, and then others we're still working to identify the best opportunities to bring it to them. So for example, we have not had a VA chiropractor in the Wisconsin Rapids and Wausau area. We're right now conducting reference checks because we're going to have, they will work in TOMA, but they will also be traveling to what we call our northern tier, to those 3 CBOCs to provide chiropractic care as well. We currently send veterans to the community, so they still have access to the care. The VA ensures access, but we also know that a lot of veterans really are very satisfied with their care at the VA and are very happy with the services they're receiving, and they'd rather come to the VA. So we want to give them that option and make sure that we're bringing these services there. So we've also worked very diligently with our community to identify space and to identify relationships that can be mutually beneficial to bring these services to veterans. So an example of one of those relationships is with the YMCA. Specifically in La Crosse, we drafted our memorandum of agreement and signed that with them first. And currently what happens is they are gracious enough to provide us with this space for us to offer yoga and Tai Chi in La Crosse, as well as other movement-based or group classes. And we coordinate the times and the space. And they also have granted our veterans free memberships to the YMCA during the length of that class. So 6 weeks, 7 weeks, that kind of a thing. And we now also have signed agreements with the Woodson YMCA in Wausau and with the Southwood County YMCA here in Wisconsin Rapids. Additionally, we have to ensure everybody has the training, right, and that they're competent to provide the services, and not only competent, but provide it, do an excellent job of providing it. So some of our wonderful staff, like Sara here, have been willing to branch out of what is normally expected of their job to receive training to be able to roll out these services. So for example, Tai Chi, Sara has received 36 hours of face-to-face training. And as soon as the YMCA is open here in Wisconsin Rapids, the new location, we will be able to offer Tai Chi right next to our clinic, literally attached to our clinic through this wonderful community partnership.
So would it be possible, you know more about this than I do.
Sure.
The YMCA has programs already in place. Would your program allow a veteran to step into the YMCA and use that? Or would the VA be looking at bringing these people over to the VA side for Monday, Wednesday, Fridays?
So I can only speak to that a little bit. As of right now, the Toma VA does not pay for memberships anywhere else, or however, the YMCA does have a wonderful program for discounted opportunities if based on finances. So if we had a veteran who was interested in a Y membership but couldn't afford one, they would be willing to assist with that. Additionally, the Y does have programming that we notify our veterans of free of charge. Like there's a Wellness Warriors program at the La Crosse YMCA, which is either 12 or 16 weeks. And that is, they have a counselor and a fitness instructor, and they're together with a group of veterans who are working out together, but also then have the opportunity to talk through some things. And that has been a successful program, and that is also free of charge to veterans, and they also get a free membership during that period of time. So that's one of the other wonderful things that has really grown out of these community relationships for both sides, is that now we're aware of what they're doing for veterans, and the YMCA really is doing a lot of wonderful things for veterans and continue to branch out and do more.
What I was getting at is, say for example, water exercise. I think that's something, would the VA say, okay, the YMCA is offering this, we'll cover the cost while you do that? Or do you guys bring on those people into the VA system and say, okay, now take our people?
So little bit of a twofold answer to that.
Right.
Because also, I'll be honest, there are a lot of different pieces at play there with different partnerships, and whether it's sent out through community care, that's a whole separate contracting side that I am not the subject matter expert in, to be quite honest, and that would be getting a little bit closer to that, because what we're doing right now with the Ys is our staff is providing the service, but they're granting us that opportunity of space. But we have water aerobics in Toma through a community partnership with Fort McCoy. And again, our staff goes and we utilize their pool. So I know that the Toma VA is certainly working on opportunities like that to see what we can do to best bring these services to veterans.
I did bring one of your pamphlets.
Yes.
Would you want to go over, just slightly touch on what the different things in the pamphlet, like the acupuncture, battlefield acupuncture?
Sure.
Just, touch on what they provide.
Sure. So I will say I can speak to all of these things, but we have subject matter experts in each area,
Right.
Which we are very blessed to have at the Toma VA. So we have traditional acupuncture that is performed by Dr. Pika, who is actually now our clinical director in whole health. And I think most people have a concept of traditional acupuncture. Battlefield acupuncture, however, is a little bit less commonly known, and it's auricular acupuncture performed only in the ear with small needles, so not the long ones that you see on TV or in photos. And they tend to stay in your ear, so about 3 to 5 days, and you leave them in until they fall out. So like I said, that 3 to 5 days. So what we're utilizing battlefield acupuncture for right now at the Toma VA is for pain, for the treatment of pain. And we have had tremendous results with an average decrease in pain of about 40%. So before you receive BFA, what's your pain score? 10. After you receive BFA, what is it? 6. So we're seeing about an average of 40% decrease in pain. So that's battlefield acupuncture.
And that is in Wisconsin Rapids Clinic.
Yes, we do have that in Wisconsin Rapids. Actually, we have that at most of the CBOC locations, and if we don't, it's temporary because of a staff member taking another position, and then we train a new one and get them credentialed. So that requires credentialing. Biofeedback is offered through our occupational therapy staff, and it's computerized technology, and they can basically kind of hook you up to some equipment and some electrodes and give you some feedback on how you either carry your stress and how you can better manage that, which can also help with pain, and as well as many other things, but pain is predominantly what we are using it for right now in Toma. We have healing touch, and that is an energy medicine similar to Reiki, and that is another one that we have had tremendous benefit in our veterans for both pain and for anxiety. Huge drops in anxiety with healing touch. Actually, 2/3 of veterans, so 66%, report at least a 2-point decrease in their pain from receiving that service for a half an hour. So it's pretty exciting. We have meditation and mindfulness classes, group sessions, both where you can learn about what it is and where you can practice meditation or mindfulness. And we actually also have a women's only mindfulness group. And that's one of the other things we're doing in Whole Health is we are looking to increase opportunities for women only classes and groups. Women are, of course, welcome to any of our groups, but we want to ensure a safe and comfortable space for everybody that we serve. Tai Chi is based on an ancient martial art, and actually, do you want to talk about Tai Chi a little bit?
Yeah, Tai Chi is basically using the body's chi or energy and safe movements. And back to the side that she was talking about, if proven, it is shown that it's very good for balance. It also has a mindfulness aspect of you have to focus on where your hand's going to go and how you're going to do it. But it's really, really good for balance and kind of trains your body how to recenter itself in a positive way.
And as a
veterans.
Huh?
Older veterans.
Well, it's actually a really wonderful opportunity too if you haven't been super active. It's a really nice way to ease back into movement. So we have yoga, and when I say yoga, I don't want people to envision the pretzel type yoga, right, where you're all tangled together. This is yoga provided by a certified yoga instructor. We have it actually both for wellness, where you don't have to have any kind of medical diagnosis. You just want to practice yoga for the mind, body, spirit benefit of it. And we also have it for treatment with physical therapists and occupational therapists. Same with Tai Chi, actually. But this yoga is intended to be meeting the veterans at the level that they're at in their ability. So that's another thing that you get when you come to the VA for something like that, is it's going to be much more tailored, not only to our population, but also to the skills and ability level of that group. And then we're also looking at opportunities for, like a level 2 or level 3 if it grows. One of the things that are not in this brochure, because it has its own brochure, but that I do want to make sure to mention is Pain University. We've had Pain University at the Toma VA since 2015. And it is considered a gold standard in care at the VA, and it started in Toma. And it is a wonderful opportunity for anybody who's experiencing any type of chronic pain, especially. And that is led predominantly by our physical therapy department. However, it also includes a lot of other disciplines that come in and present. It's a neuroscience education program with a lot of strong evidence of benefit, and we've had, I believe, 14,000 encounters since the program started. It is really wonderful. Our presenters for that service are also extremely skilled, and honestly, it's kind of entertaining too. It's a really exciting program. So that's another one that is considered in the clinical care aspect of whole health.
And available in Wisconsin Rapids.
That is also available in Wisconsin Rapids as well. And it's telehealth. That's the other thing. A lot of these education sessions or groups, we do it via telehealth. Some of our services are also available through VA Video Connect, which means on your cell phone, if you have a smartphone, and we can do a face-to-face, like a Skype or screen time kind of thing. And then we also do services over the phone. Whole health coaching is one of the opportunities that works very well over the phone and can make it very convenient for veterans to utilize that service. And I do have to mention that our whole health coaches are a wonderful resource, and that is brand new to the VA, whole health coaches. And their role really is to help the veterans with identifying what matters most to them in life and what they want to do to achieve their goals, and what are their goals, and what does the VA have that we could help support you in those goals. They're excellent listeners. Everyone who is enrolled in healthcare at the VA is eligible for whole health services and eligible for whole health coaching.
Okay, so if somebody that's watching this program picked up on this information, how do they get in contact with you to either get more information, get into the program, or whatever? Do they just, where do they call?
Sure.
Or where do they text? Or where do they, whatever?
So if you call the Toma VA, and it's 372-3971, area code 608.
Do that one more time slow, because people just went and got a pencil or a
Oh,
pen.
sure. Okay, sorry. 608-372-3971. And there are 2 extensions that they can call to be directly connected to whole health. And one is 61417. And the other is 66212. And Tori's going to be thrilled that I finally remembered her extension right. Those will take you right to our whole health schedulers. However, if you call the Toma VA and just say, I want to talk to whole health, they'll transfer you to us as well. Also, if you're at the Toma VA and you would like to just come up and check out, we do now have a 10,000 square foot integrative wellness center in Toma. It's in building 407 on the 2nd floor. So you're also welcome to just stop by and come check it out and chat with us, and we'll make time to give you a tour and talk to you about what opportunities are available.
So if somebody's from Rapids, they can still call the CBOC here and get information.
Yes.
Or they can direct them.
Yes.
I know you spend some time in Rapids.
Yes, so I'm in Rapids every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and the lovely front desk ladies know how to track me down almost all points of the day. So yeah, if you were there, then you could probably ask them, and they could, if I'm not with a patient, they'll find me.
So you're the point of contact here in Rapids.
And every community-based outpatient clinic has a full-time whole health coach.
Okay. Anything else that either one of you ladies want to touch on? We got just a few minutes left, and I don't want to skip something that shouldn't be skipped.
Sure. You go first.
All I can say is I think that this is a fantastic program, and it's something that I believe in to every fiber of my being as a value to veterans, and myself included. I have learned a lot even just doing this job. So I think it's worth everybody's time to just try it. Just try it.
And next year or the year after, when they connect with the YMCA, this is going to expand like wildfire.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully.
So I would just like to say, if there are any veterans who haven't been to the VA or are experiencing that challenging transition from military life to civilian life, I'd strongly encourage them to come check out the VA. A lot of what we have in whole health is really designed around that transitioning period of time, that is a very vulnerable, challenging period for a lot of veterans. And let us walk alongside you. Give us the opportunity to serve you. We want to serve veterans. And many in our department and throughout our medical center are veterans themselves. So a lot of what's happening at the Toma VA is out of passion and dedication, and we would just like the opportunity to serve our veterans.
So it's not just the veteran, it's the spouse that should get the veteran
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how many wives tell them, just go do it.
Yeah.
So it's also that aspect should be looked at, not just the veteran say, well,
Oh,
I don't want to.
absolutely.
Wife or spouse
Yep.
should say, maybe you should.
Yeah, yeah, and two, to also say that the Toma VA has had had an incredible transformation with this whole health system of care, and just the opportunities available to veterans now at the VA are so much greater than what they were even 5 years ago, certainly 10 years ago. So I would also really encourage spouses and anybody in the community to encourage veterans to check out the VA and to see what we can do for them.
Anything else, ladies?
Just thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate coming to be able to talk to you.
Sir, thank you.
Thank you.
Cassandra, thank you very
so
much.
much.
Thank you for your service and thank you for your continued service. And thank you for watching.